Okay, it's day 115, and this is part one. Yesterday, I heard that Dr. Corsi, Jerome Corsi, said, hey, I respect George Webb as a researcher, but he goes off on these wild tangents. And I just want to say that I respect Dr. Corsi probably more than any researcher I've ever met. He's got an incredible way of analyzing data. I just saw what he did with the Seth Rich stuff and the NGP van stuff. And Jason and I did the film at his house, and he really lays stuff out in a super logical way, and I admire that tremendously. What I want to say is how many things along the way in this series were wild tangents when they first came out and then later became common knowledge. And I'll just start with the one episode I did yesterday with 114.2. When I came out and said that Imran Awan was running a car theft ring and he was using it to move material back and forth to Africa, through West Africa, okay, through Alpha Jola. And I said that drugs were coming one way and guns were going the other way, through to Hezbollah, okay. I remember how that was a wild tangent. Absolutely no one believed me. I remember people saying, did the Wans do everything? I said no, but just look at the addresses, look at where the people are going, look at the convictions, look at the all of the things that tied those two things together, the people coming and going, and it just fell right off the page. It was just this mountain of evidence. Well, lo and behold, Operation Cassandra came out. I had said earlier with Amalgamated Bank, I had said the data sweeps and the money, the data sweeps being NGP Van, is another project I worked with Dr. Corsi on, and the money started sweeping October 1st, 2015. At that point, from DNC to Hillary for America, at that point, no one out there was talking about that. I remember sitting in his home talking about how this guy named Utretsky, there was maybe one-time data transfer in November. Then there was another one-time or two-time data transfer with Seth Rich. No one was talking about hourly sweeps. No one at that time, or even recently still we have a problem, was talking about how the Awans were involved in those hourly sweeps from DNC to Hillary for America. It wasn't until Donna Brazil came out and basically said, oh my gosh, there was a joint funding arrangement and DNC owed a whole bunch of money to Hillary for America, and that's why there was these sweeps, these hourly sweeps. And again, I put my money where my mouth is, and that's in the lawsuit. No one has challenged that. Out of 24 different defendants in the combined and related lawsuits, no one has challenged that. I had said that there was a program that was for the SEIU embedded within the DNC called SEIU Catalyst, run by this guy named Harold Ickes. Harold Ickes, I'll pronounce that right now. I've said the name wrong forever, but I got the catalyst right, and it's embedded. Again, I put my money where my mouth is. No one is talking about that. I've created a branding called Chinatown, which is more for Becerra and these other reps that have come up and become powerful in the DNC, where they're laundering money from gangs for security, which are coming through SEIU Catalyst in through the DNC to launder that money. I called out the name Andrew Tobias, and I said the leak from DNC was specifically to make sure that the 7 other people in the finance committee of DNC were accomplished. They put that information out also as a lure for Trump to get emails and dirt on Hillary. The Navy Masons, I had no idea who the Masons were when I came to Washington, D.C. I didn't know anything about Navy Masons, but through metadata completely independent, I found out about this weird little sect of Navy Masons on Capitol Hill that had DEA licenses that were given like medallions, like you would give medallions to different cabs in New York City where you have a drug franchise. I didn't make it up. I just went there from the data. Turns out there was this crazy guy with these fake police forces. I didn't make the fake police forces up. The guns were real. I didn't make up these guys in the SES and the protective services inside the DOJ using these convicts to do these drug franchises, and also this 333 half evil tattoo on the inside of their arm, kind of a secret society, if you will, or a band of brothers kind of thing. Blood in, blood out. I didn't make that up. It's going to turn out to be true. It's going to be the thing that turns these senior executive service people into thinking they can do anything, and that they own this like a duke would own. A duke would own a big farm, a big estate, and that this is their right to this thing. This is half evil. We're the arbiters of what's good and evil. We Masons are the arbiters of that. We are going to provide the protective services for our chosen people, our king, our whatever. And this is kind of a throwback to almost medieval thinking, or maybe crown thinking. So every one of these things was a wild tangent. The whole Chantilly, Virginia idea. Now we're seeing Q come out with all these things, and some of them are relate and some of them don't. But I just have to say that if it wasn't for wild tangents, this story never would have moved on, because all those wild tangents ended up becoming a recognized fact. I'm trying to think of one or two that have not. I talked about organ recovery, and that being a bad habit of DynCorp overseas, and everyone made fun of me for that. Now everyone recognizes that it happened in Kosovo, it happened in Syria, it happened in Haiti, it happened in Central America, and maybe it's happening in Chicago. That's the only part that's a wild tangent right now. But again, it's not something that's wild tangent to me, because I see people doing it. Everyone thought Rahm Emanuel being, with the mangoes and flying into mangoes into Chicago was a wild idea, until they saw that Rahm Emanuel was the guy who got Imran Awan out of trouble and his dad out of trouble in Pakistan for the drug labs in near Faisalabad. So anyway, I respect Dr. Corsi tremendously. He's a little bit more conservative than I am, and that's good. He says a lot of things about Obama I don't like. I say probably things about George Bush he doesn't like, but that's good, because you have several choices to choose from. But I do want to say I respect him, but I think if he looked at me over the long brush of history here, he would see how many things I've said. And again, it doesn't happen until 200 or 300 days later, but 200 or 300 days later, those wild tangents become accepted fact.